Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are taking on a request that is, well, it's unique, it's complex, and honestly, it's potentially explosive.
It definitely is.
We're going to be analyzing the life, the career, and the monumental controversies surrounding Andrew Tate.
And I think we need to be really clear from the get-go. We are not here to praise him. We are not here to condemn him.
No, we are here to understand.
That's the crucial distinction, right? Our mission is to treat his entire trajectory as a definitive case study, the really powerful, high-stakes illustration of a specific human operating system, you could say, running at maximum capacity.
And we're using a Pacific framework for this, which we call elemental intelligence, or EI.
Exactly, to map his blueprint.
The ultimate goal here, for anyone listening, especially if you recognize these patterns in yourself, that feeling of high speed, high ambition, but also maybe high chaos, is to extract some actionable insights. We want to show the, frankly, staggering potential that's embedded in the default hardware of this Life Path 1 blueprint, but also, and this is just as important, the precise vulnerabilities that came pre-installed with it.
To do that, we have to start by grounding ourselves in the framework itself. What is elemental intelligence?
Right.
The way I like to describe it is, think of it like the BIOS settings of your brain. It goes way beyond something like a personality test. We're mapping your core default programming.
So it's not really what you do, but it's how you are naturally wired to respond to the world around you.
Exactly. It defines four key things.
Yep.
Your perception, so what information your brain filters for first, your decision-making protocols, your automatic stress response, and even your physical embodiment, how you carry energy in your body.
It's like a stack of settings you came pre-installed with.
The day you were born. That's a perfect way to put it.
Okay, so let's break down these four core elements because we're going to be coming back to them again and again in this deep dive. Let's use some simple analogies. How should we think about fire, wind, earth, and water?
Great question. We really need to internalize these as more than just words. So let's start with fire. Fire is the element of will and heat.
Okay.
It's the engine of initiation. It's that sudden burst of clarity that just cuts through all the confusion. Its main goal is decisive action, and its energy is. It's confrontational, it's binary, it's just go or don't go.
That sounds incredibly useful for starting things, but maybe pretty stressful to run on all the time.
Precisely. Which brings us to wind. Wind is the element of agility and abstraction. It's the intelligence of pure possibility.
Seeing all the paths.
Wind energy sees all the potential paths before anyone else does. It's quick, it's inventive, highly adaptive. But, and here's the shadow side, if it's unchecked, it can become scattered, chaotic, even manipulative.
Okay, so fire and wind are the speed elements, the accelerators. What about the counter elements, the brakes, so to speak?
The slow grounding forces, that's earth. Earth is the element of structure and manifestation. Think of it like gravity. It's patience, it's meticulous systems building, consistent repetition.
The boring stuff.
The boring stuff that makes everything actually work. Earth is what turns an abstract idea from the wind and a forceful start from the fire into something concrete, something that lasts. If you struggle to finish projects or, organize your finances, that's your earth element calling for some training.
And the last one, water.
Water is the element of flow and context. It governs relational depth, emotional awareness, empathy, timing.
Timing is a big one.
Huge. Water makes sure that an action is appropriate for the system it's acting in, whether that system is a single relationship or, an entire society.
Yeah.
Without water, fire just becomes dominating and wind becomes purely self-serving and manipulative.
That makes the whole philosophical foundation really clear. So the core insight then has to be, you are not just your strengths.
Absolutely. That's the whole point. Your default element is not your destiny. It is your starting weapon. We're usually taught to just lean on what feels easy, what we're good at. Right. Double down on your strengths. But EI teaches the opposite. Real mastery comes from integration, not suppression. You have to intentionally go out and develop what you lack.
And our sources actually capture this perfectly in what we call the Musashi rule. Do not train what you like, train what completes you.
Which brings us right back to our subject, Andrew Tate. The quintessential Life Path 1 archetype, the initiator.
The sources confirmed his birth date, December 1st, 1986, calculates down to 101. So he is a confirmed Life Path 1.
And what's fascinating from the numerology blueprint we looked at is the sheer dominance of this energy. The traits of the number one have a massive 34% influence in his entire chart.
So he's not just a life path 1. He's running on a very, very concentrated version of that operating system.
Exactly. So let's outline that life path 1 elemental map, because this combination is the key to understanding everything, the incredible triumphs and the total collapses. The life path 1 is a dual core system built for maximum propulsion. The mind element is fire. The action element is wind.
So you've got decisive clarity married to rapid, agile execution. It's a blueprint built to just cut through complexity and initiate movement.
Correct. And because of that, the training targets, the elements that provide balance, are the exact opposite forces.
Earth and water.
The growth weakness element is earth. This is the skill set that requires intentional, often uncomfortable development. Structure, systems, patience.
And the final mastery and integration element is water. The ultimate goal for the LP1 is to achieve that emotional awareness, that relational depth, and that kind of seamless flow.
So the immediate insight here is that this blueprint, fire and wind, is inherently built for explosive initiation, for ideation, for immediate high-impact results. But it struggles intensely with continuity and sustainability. That's the earth part. And with anything that requires deep, long-term relational nuance. That's water.
We're looking at a system that's optimized for speed and impact, but it's dangerously unbalanced when it comes to stability and empathy.
And that's the story we're about to unpack.
Okay, let's do it. So, part 1, let's unpack this. We have to start by looking at the staggering successes this dual core system actually achieved. The sources show that when this Life Path 1 template is leveraged correctly, it creates immense, rapid velocity.
And we see that expression most purely in his physical trajectory. The Fire Mind's mantra is basically, I choose, therefore I move.
I like that.
The sources define this mind as one that prioritizes decisive action. Binary choices go or don't go. And it does this by intentionally sacrificing contextual nuance for instantaneous clarity, especially under duress.
And that template is, it's perfectly suited for professional combat, isn't it? His kickboxing career, which started around 2005, required that exact kind of mindset.
Absolutely. To achieve 4 world championships, to maintain a professional record of 76 wins, 9 losses, you need supreme volitional drive. That is classic, undiluted fire energy.
You have to make decisions instantly.
Instantly. Do I take this punch? Do I counter now? There's simply no room for the slower, more contextual thought process of water or the detailed calculation of earth. You have to commit instantly to a trajectory.
It sounds exhausting, to be honest, that constant high heat energy output.
It is, and the deep dive material really highlighted the physical cost of running that fire system too hot for too long. He was actually forced into an early retirement.
Why?
He sustained significant damage, including detached retinas in both eyes. He needed surgery for them by the time he was 30.
Wow.
And that is the physical manifestation of constant high-intensity impact. The body just eventually gives out when your decision-making protocol is built only for war.
That makes perfect sense. The fire energy literally burns the container it's in if there's no cooling mechanism. So, fire pushes him off the mat and into business. How does the wind element then pick up that momentum?
We see that fire decision-making protocol transfer almost flawlessly into the financial sphere. The rapid pivot from kickboxing into starting a webcam model business that shows that same high-risk, high-speed fire impulse.
What's really fascinating is the sheer audacity the sources describe. He later admitted that the whole business was a total scam. Why does that admission illustrate the fire impulse so well?
Because fire prioritizes speed over structural caution or even ethical deliberation. The philosophy is fail fast, learn faster.
Right.
The fire person assumes that even if the business decision is morally or structurally questionable, and our sources noted he was employing 75 models to sell fake sob stories to men, the sheer velocity of execution will let him course correct faster than a more cautious, earth-based approach would.
And he claimed he made millions doing this. So that level of rapid scaling, going from a fighter to a multimillionaire in a totally new industry almost instantly, that confirms that Life Path 1 initiation strength.
And now we layer the wind action element onto that fire base. Wind is the intelligence of possibility, right? Abstract thought, rapid cognitive shifts is how that fire decision translates into agile execution. It sees opportunities in the digital landscape that other people just miss.
And the ultimate expression of his wind element has to be his explosive success as an online influencer with Hustlers University and later the real world. The figures are They're staggering. Our research estimated these ventures were pulling in about $5 million a month by mid-2023.
That business model is a wind masterpiece. It really is. Wind energy thrives in the abstract. The product wasn't a physical thing, it was ideation. Courses on crypto, copywriting, e-commerce. It's about synthesizing information and selling the abstract possibility of wealth and freedom.
It's pure wind mental energy applied to commerce.
Exactly. But the execution's where the wind genius truly shows itself. The deep dive material confirmed the strategy relied heavily on amplification. He encouraged members to post his content to manipulate algorithms and maximize engagement.
This is wind execution at its absolute peak. The sources described it as a network of copycat accounts that were artificially amplifying his message.
Yes. Wind knows how to move energy through unseen, agile, indirect channels. So instead of building a stable long-term marketing system, which would be Earth, he created a self-replicating, algorithm-exploiting network pure wind that achieved these rapid cognitive shifts across the entire online world.
And even his persona reflects this fire-wind synergy. I mean, his kickboxing nickname was Andrew Tate, and the sources highlight his explosive movement, high adrenaline response, his ability to thrive on just sustained high energy output.
He's physically and mentally built for quick, decisive strikes and then rapid pivots.
So if we step back, what we see is this archetype, the Life Path 1, who successfully leveraged his mind, the fire, for decisiveness and will, and his action, the wind, for agility and ideation. And he used them to achieve just staggering rapid success in two completely different high-stakes domains.
He became the third most Googled person in 2023. The raw strength of this elemental stack for sheer acceleration is undeniable.
But, as we established earlier, relying only on acceleration, that leads to friction, and eventually systemic failure. Let's shift our focus now to the predictable points of collapse.
The elemental intelligence framework makes one guarantee. When you leverage only your strengths, your weaknesses don't just stay dormant. They become the exact point where the entire system collapses. For a Life Path 1, this means ignoring earth and water.
And the sources confirm that these catastrophic vulnerabilities appear precisely where earth and water should have been providing ballast. We have to start with the core weakness, earth.
Right. Earth represents meticulous structure, consistent repetition, patience, systemic stability.
All the things the fire-wind core finds tedious.
Tedious, slow, heavy,
Well, yeah.
Exactly. The innate drive is to avoid anything that requires slowing down. So the consequence of this ungrounded action fire's decisive start, combined with wind-scattered rapid ideas, is this immense initial momentum that just lacks the structure for sustainable manifestation.
Or continuity.
Exactly. It's like building a multi-million-dollar skyscraper on sand.
Let's look specifically at that structural instability within his online ventures. The sources noted this constant rebranding. Hustlers University 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, then it becomes the real world. Is that a lack of earth structure, or is it just smart pivoting, the wind element at work?
It's the difference between a necessary adjustment and a necessary foundation. Constant high-speed rebranding is classic wind, always chasing the next new angle. But the fact that they had to pivot so frequently that they couldn't maintain version stability demonstrates a lack of enduring earth structure. You just can't sustain a massive enterprise through constant tactical pivoting alone.
And this structural weakness has severe measurable consequences, particularly with data security, which is inherently an earth domain.
Oh, the sources detail the crises perfectly.
Yeah.
In May 2024, the website for the real world had a severe breach because of a misconfigured database.
And this leaked the personal data of nearly 1 million users.
Specifically, 968,447 accounts, email addresses, passwords, all of it.
That is nearly 1 million points of friction, of chaos, potential liability, all created because the system wasn't properly secured.
Exactly. Earth is the element that's responsible for building the firewall, running the routine audits, establishing the boring, consistent protocols you need to secure data. The Firewind core generates the excitement and the revenue, the $5 million a month, but without that Earth container, it creates systemic, catastrophic vulnerabilities.
And the pattern just repeated itself. In November of that same year, another cyber attack leaked the usernames of 794,000 members and the entire contents of hundreds of chat servers.
It forced the whole entity into constant crisis management, which is the definition of the Firewind shadow. Running fast just to stay ahead of the structural problems that you yourself created.
It's the Life Path 1 tragedy, isn't it? Generating wealth and influence at this incredible speed, only to watch it constantly threaten to collapse because the necessary, boring administrative structure, the earth, was deemed unimportant. Beyond the structural weakness, though, we have to look at the shadow of fire itself. Domination without reflection. We said that when fire is unbalanced, it manifests as tunnel vision and impulsivity.
And this is where we see the controversial views that are outlined in the source material. His self-proclaimed misogyny, the statements that women belong in the home or are a man's property, these are expressions of that unbalanced fire shadow.
How so? Can you connect those dots for us?
Fire prioritizes its own binary, decisive truth above everything else. So when it's faced with the incredible complexity of, say, gender relations, fire tries to cut through the mess instantly by just imposing a simple, personal, dominating judgment.
It's a refusal to engage.
It's a refusal to engage with relational harmony, which is water, or systemic complexity, which is earth. The forceful energy is deployed simply because the internal pressure demands release and dominance. It's not a thought-out strategy.
And this aggressive, impulsive action shows up whenever he feels challenged. Our research mentioned the conflict response when he was questioned by the YouTube channel CoffeeZilla about his meme coin, DDDY.
That incident is a textbook demonstration of the fire stress trigger. Fire's internal trigger is feeling suppressed, or blocked, or challenged. Its default recovery method is immediate, overwhelming action and confrontation.
So when he felt that pressure,
the immediate impulse was to release that heat. He did that by doxing the journalist and encouraging a wave of abusive content from his followers.
So it's not a reasoned, earth-based counter-argument. It's just immediate confrontational release. It's deployed to manage his own internal pressure, regardless of the ethical or long-term cost.
A fire person defaults to overwhelming force when they feel cornered, which leads us to the fourth element, the ultimate challenge and the mastery element for the life path one, water.
Water. Relational depth, empathy, contextual thinking, accountability.
And the source material suggests this element isn't just untrained in him, but it's actively and strategically suppressed. This absence is what turns that powerful firewind core into something intensely destructive in the relational sphere.
Without water, fire becomes dominating and unempathetic.
Yes. And we see this in the strategic decisions he made about his personal safety and relational accountability systems.
You're talking about the move to Romania. The sources noted he moved there because he preferred, and I'm quoting, living in countries where corruption is accessible for everybody.
And he explicitly said he believed he would be less likely to face rape charges there than in the Western world where, in his view, any woman can destroy your life.
That statement perfectly illustrates the clash between fire and water.
It's a mind prioritizing fire's self-preservation and its own binary judgment. All right, the system is rigged against me. Over water's appreciation for societal flow, accountability, and relational complexity. He was actively seeking an environment where the inconvenience of relational ethics and legal structure, water and earth, could be bypassed by personal force, fire and wind.
And the dark side of wind, that capacity for manipulation and abstraction, was deployed specifically in the relational pillar, particularly within his private social group, the War Room.
This secretive group, it cost members $8,000 to join, was the ultimate expression of fire and wind without water. Our deep dive material confirmed that internal chat logs documented something they called the Pimp and Hose degree, or PhD.
And a legal expert in human trafficking provided insight into that course, confirming it used techniques commonly known as the lover boy strategy.
Yes, techniques that are designed to, quote, romantically seduce, emotionally manipulate, and socially isolate women before luring them into performing on webcams. This is the highly strategic, abstract application of wind's manipulation paired with fire's force and domination, completely devoid of water's empathy or any basic relational ethics.
The relational sphere was treated as just another system to be gained.
Not a connection to be fostered, exactly.
And the result of this fundamental elemental imbalance, running this high-speed, high-impact firewind core without the necessary grounding of earth or the relational depth of water, is this array of severe legal and civil consequences that the sources detail.
This is the ultimate crash. He's facing investigations and charges across Romania, the UK, and the US. Rape, human trafficking, trafficking minors, money laundering, tax evasion.
The seizure of nearly $4 million in assets by Romanian authorities, that is the physical, legal, and financial manifestation of this elemental imbalance.
It's a system built on explosive speed fire and financial agility wind that completely lack the foundational grounding of earth, legal and financial structure, compliance, and the nuance of water relational ethics, societal accountability. The Life Path 1 blueprint, when it's run without the counter elements, becomes a system that is literally optimized for self-destruction.
The irony is, it's profound. The very strengths that allowed for his rapid ascent, that decisiveness and agility, are the very reasons he's now facing systemic collapse.
Because those elements were never integrated with stability and empathy.
Okay, so this case study is a profound cautionary tale. For anyone listening who shares that Life Path 1 hardware, that feeling of high speed, high initiation, and then subsequent chaos, we have to shift now to the solution. How do you train what completes you?
For every Life Path 1 listening, the trajectory we just mapped is both a profound warning and a very precise roadmap. The key to moving from chaos to sustainable flow is what we call the Musashi mode reforging. The intentional development of your weakness element, earth, and your mastery element, water.
Because if you keep recovering from stress by just defaulting to more fire action, you're just accelerating the inevitable collapse. You have to break the cycle. So let's talk practically, training the earth weakness.
Life Path 1s have to follow what we call the law of elemental progression. Stage 1 is just recognizing and harnessing your firewind default for initiation. You're good at that. Stage 2 is surfacing the earth weakness, admitting that every major project collapse, every relationship burnout, every financial disaster is due to a lack of structure and follow-through.
And stage 3.
Intentional, uncomfortable earth training.
So, how do you train a firewind energy to enjoy the tediousness of earth?
You don't. You don't try to enjoy it. You force commitment to it as a necessary strategy for long-term victory. Earth training is about overcoming that innate LP1 tendency to find structure slow and heavy. The action items have to be highly ritualized and physical. So focus on building meticulous structure, committed repetition even when it feels boring, and cultivating patience through long-term, non-explosive endeavors.
Okay, can you give me a tangible, boring, structural routine that a Life Path 1 listening could start tomorrow? Something that would ground them instantly.
Absolutely. The fire mind loves complex strategy, but it needs simple execution. So start with a 5-minute daily financial journaling routine. Track every single dollar in and out, no matter how small. Or dedicate 10 minutes to cleaning and organizing one small physical space, a drawer, your desk, your car. That process is purely earth. It forces consistent, methodical action that yields a structural result, and it's the exact opposite of the firewind impulse.
That's a powerful point, especially when you think about the Life Path 1 Wealth Challenge. We saw how easily the firewind wealth was generated, and then how easily the lack of earth structure put it all at risk legally and structurally.
Wealth creation requires earth. It requires systems thinking, compounding effort, maintenance, compliance, and that has to be paired with wind for innovation and spotting trends. The LP1 has to discipline their wind energy to finish building the Earth systems, the escrow accounts, legal frameworks, secure databases, detailed tax prep that are necessary to hold the rapid wealth they generate.
Without the Earth container, the wealth is just dispersed by the wind.
It just blows away. And this brings up the critical elemental cross-truth. When a Life Path 1 feels scattered or chaotic, that's the firewind shadow, their natural impulse is to initiate more action, right?
Right, more fire.
Yes, fire recovery is action, but that only accelerates the chaos. The cross-truth dictates that the recovery must be grounding and earth recovery.
That means routine manual labor.
Deep breathing exercises, spending time in nature, consistent, boring physical exercise. The moment the chaos rises, they have to enforce earth structure to stabilize the whole system.
That makes earth training the necessary counter liver to the firewind default. Okay, now for the final stage, training the water mastery. This is the ultimate integration, the skill set that takes firewind from being destructive to being quietly authoritative.
Water integration is where the magic happens. Fire decisions suddenly gain perfect timing, and wind execution gains empathy and integrity. This training focuses on conquering the fire instinct to dominate conversations and the wind instinct to abstract and manipulate relational dynamics.
So what does water training look like practically for a fire mind who's just used to decisive, immediate response?
It's the opposite of speed. The training action items have to include things like emotional presence, active listening without interrupting, which is exceptionally hard for a fire mind, and practicing timing and subtlety in conversations.
Forced empathy exercises.
It's non-negotiable. It requires the LP1 to intentionally step into the subjective world of another person, rather than just imposing their own binary judgment on them.
The Life Path 1 relationship challenge is profound. I mean, relationships require the courage of fire to set boundaries, but that has to be balanced with the patience and empathy of water to navigate all the complexity.
A fire wind person often achieves professional authority. They're a decisive CEO or a world champion, but they fail relationally because they prioritize their personal truth and their need for immediate clarity over the relationship's flow and mutual respect.
So an LP1 has to train water to balance their inherent fire drive. This is what ensures their pursuit of truth doesn't lead to all that unnecessary collateral damage or the shadow of domination without reflection.
And the ultimate achievement is stage 4 integration. When water is trained, the fire mind doesn't stop being decisive. In fact, their decisions become more effective.
How?
Because they gain perfect timing and emotional awareness. And that minimizes the relational friction and the legal chaos that so profoundly plague the subject of our deep dive.
So let's review the sequence as the non-negotiable path of evolution for all life path ones, using the Tate case study as the high contrast example.
It's the path from explosive chaos to quiet competence. It's 4 stages. Number 1 is the default state. Harness fire's initiation and wins rapid ideation efficiently. Use your explosive strengths to create momentum.
Okay, then the challenge.
Stage 2. Recognize earth patience and structure and water empathy and flow as the elements that are lacking every time a project collapses or a relationship fails. You have to surface the weakness, identify the quicksand that's under the rocket.
Then comes the hard part, growth.
Stage 3. Intentionally train earth, set up that daily, boring structural routine, and water, like practicing active listening and low-stakes interactions. Intentional discomfort is the price of stability.
And finally, integration.
Stage 4, which is water. Achieve that quiet authority where your decisive action is perfectly timed and emotionally intelligent, and your underlying systems are finally stable enough to hold the success that you generate.
That is the path of ascent for the initiator. It's about consciously designing your own internal operating system to prevent self-destruction.
This deep dive used the Life Path 1 blueprint, exemplified by Andrew Tate's documented story, to map the precise consequences of elemental imbalance. His innate strengths, fire's decisiveness, and wind's agility created rapid, staggering ascent in combat, in business, and in influence.
But his unaddressed weaknesses, the complete neglect of Earth, which led to structural, financial, and legal non-compliance, and the active suppression of water leading to profound deficits in empathy, accountability, and relational ethics, that's what created the public, legal, and systemic chaos we see today.
His ascent was fast, but his foundation was indeed quicksand.
For you, the listener, especially those who run on that high-octane LifePath 1 hardware, remember that alignment is what turns struggle into flow. The goal is the void path, that state where your action is quiet, precise, and inevitable.
You stop thinking about which element to use, and you simply embody what the moment requires, whether that's the heat of fire, the systemization of earth, the agility of wind, or the flow of water.
We'll leave you with this final provocative thought for your own exploration. The elemental intelligence system suggests that the highest stage of mastery is scaling your awareness beyond just personal growth and into systemic and universal applications.
So, if you successfully master your personal elemental blueprint and you achieve that quiet, integrated competence, how can you then use that balance to address systemic problems? How can the integrated Life Path 1 become one of the leaders who remembered how alignment works on a societal level and bring that balance to the chaos of the world?
Go forth and walk your path.